Have you ever wished for a clear, systematic guide to navigate life's challenges? Like a real map that doesn't just show you the destination but details every single step to get there? Well, believe it or not, a map like that actually exists.
So listen to these words. These are from Sariputta, one of the Buddha's chief disciples, a guy who was legendary for his wisdom. And he's not just giving a speech here. He's making this huge promise to lay out a complete step-by-step path to the end of all suffering.
And where does he do this? In an ancient text called the Dasuttarasutta. And let me tell you, this is so much more than just a list of teachings. Think of it more like a comprehensive blueprint for training your own mind, a real guide to inner freedom.
But that brings up a really interesting question, right? When you're talking about something as huge as the nature of the mind and the path to liberation, how do you even begin to organize all that? How do you make it something more than just a bunch of nice quotes, but a system you can actually use?
Well, the genius of this particular text is all in its structure. It takes this massive body of knowledge and arranges it with this stunning, almost mathematical elegance. And that systematic approach is so important because it gives you clarity and order, a solid framework for training your mind, which, let's be honest, can feel pretty chaotic sometimes.
So let's dive into that framework. Let's see how this incredible mental toolkit is actually put together. It's this really logical system, and it's designed for one thing: absolute clarity, so you can apply it in the real world.
Okay, so the whole framework is built on a two-part system. It's pretty cool. First, all the teachings are grouped by number, in sets from 1 all the way up to 10. And then, each of those numbered sets is broken down into 10 different categories of action, like things you should develop, things you need to abandon, things you should try to fully understand, and so on.
And this grid right here, this just shows you how brilliantly it all works. What you end up with is this incredible cross-reference guide for your own spiritual training. So for example, if you wanted to know the 2 qualities you should develop, you just look at the row for 2 dhammas and the column for to be developed. Boom, there it is. It's a precise, easy-to-use map for the mind.
All right, so now that we get the structure, let's see how it actually works in practice. Because to really appreciate how powerful this is, we got to zoom in on a few key examples. This is where the theory really hits the road. Let's start with the number 2. The sutta asks a simple question. What are 2 fundamental qualities that you have to develop on this path?
The answer it gives us reveals what people often call the 2 wings of awakening. On one side, you've got samatha, which is all about serenity and tranquility. That's the calm, stable mind you need for the journey. And on the other side, you've got vipassana, insight, clear seeing. That's the wisdom that just cuts through all the confusion. The path needs both, a steady mind and a wise mind, working together in perfect balance.
Okay, so what about the stuff that holds us back? The things we really need to learn to let go of. The sutta points to 3 fundamental roots of all our unskillful actions. And here they are. Lobo, which is greed and attachment, doso, which is aversion and hatred, and moho, which is delusion or ignorance. These 3 are identified as the actual source of our suffering. The sutta is crystal clear. If you want to find freedom, you have to learn to recognize and abandon these states of mind.
The framework also contains the absolute core of the Buddha's entire teaching. So, what are the 4 things that need to be fully and completely understood?
Of course, it's the 4 Noble Truths. This is the fundamental diagnosis of the human condition and the prescription for its cure. First, suffering is a real thing. Second, it has a cause, craving. Third, there can be an end to it. And fourth, there is a path to that end, and it's placed right here, in the grid, as the cornerstone of the whole structure.
So, all of this brings us to the most important point. Why? Why would you undertake all this systematic training? Where is this incredibly detailed map actually leading you?
It leads right here to nibbana. The word literally means to extinguish or to quench. And what's being extinguished are the fires of greed, aversion, and delusion. It's the ultimate goal, a state of profound, unshakable peace and a lasting freedom from all suffering.
And this is the key thing to remember. The Dasuttarasutta isn't just some academic list for you to memorize. Every single item we've looked at, and the hundreds of others in the text, it's a practical, actionable step toward this very real state of liberation.
Now, I get it. A system this big can feel a little overwhelming. But the great thing about a map is that you don't have to travel the whole journey all at once. You just need to take that first step.
So, what should you take away from all this?
Just remember that this ancient text is a practical map for training your own mind. Its amazing structure organizes wisdom by number and by action, giving you this super clear, systematic guide to move from a state of confusion to one of profound clarity and peace.
So, I'm going to leave you with a question to think about, whether it's cultivating a little more serenity or maybe letting go of some aversion. What is the one quality, the one small step from this map that you can focus on today to bring a little more well-being into your life?